All right, let's dive right into the core concepts of individual differences and diversity that you're going to need for your organizational behavior exam. We're going to focus on the must-know theories and definitions to really understand how people tick inside an organization.
So, what really makes people act the way they do at work? What's the engine behind their performance? In this explainer, we're going to break down those building blocks of individual behavior. We'll start with the person, then zoom out to see how they fit into the bigger picture.
First up, we're starting at the very core, the individual's engine, their ability and their personality. You can think of these as the stable, underlying traits that really set the stage for a person's potential and their natural tendencies at work. For your exam, if there's one word you need to remember here, it's capacity. Ability is all about what a person can do. It's not about what they like to do or what they choose to do. It's about their raw potential to get the job done. And this is a huge deal for managers, right? Because if there's a mismatch between an employee's ability and what the job demands, you're pretty much guaranteed to see poor performance. That's why it's so important to know the difference between cognitive abilities, like problem solving, and physical abilities, like stamina. So if ability is what you can do, then personality is all about what you tend to do. It's the collection of your typical patterns, your usual ways of reacting and interacting with everyone and everything around you.
Okay, you absolutely have to know the difference between these two. You'll see the Myers-Briggs or MBTI everywhere. It's great for self-awareness, but for your exam and for making actual hiring decisions, the Big Five model is the one that really counts. Why? Because it's backed by a ton of research that actually links it to job performance.
And here they are, the Big Five. Now, they're all important, but if you're going to highlight just one for your exam, make it conscientiousness. You have to remember this. It's the single most consistent predictor of job performance across pretty much every job you can think of.
The ends justify the means. You've heard that one, right? Well, that phrase is the perfect shorthand for Machiavellianism. It's a key part of what we call the dark triad of personalities, something you definitely need to be aware of in a work environment.
But here's a crucial point. Context matters. Personality doesn't just exist in a bubble. Situation strength theory tells us that really strong situations, ones with super clear rules and big consequences for breaking them, can actually overpower individual personality differences and make almost everyone behave in a similar way.
All right, so we've covered the individual's engine, their abilities and personality. Now let's talk about their compass. These are the values and attitudes that guide all that behavior and steer their choices at work. Think of values as your personal North Star. They're your deep-seated beliefs about what's right, what's good, and what's important. In a company, they're the bedrock principles that guide your big career moves and your everyday ethical choices.
Now, this is a big one, especially in global organizations. Hofstede's framework is absolutely essential for understanding how national culture shapes what people value at work. These 6 dimensions give you a fantastic lens for comparing how things get done in different countries. And all of this leads to a really critical idea: person-organization fit. This isn't just some feel-good concept. It has very real consequences. When an employee's personal values line up with the company's culture, you see way higher job satisfaction and much, much lower turnover.
So what happens when things don't line up? You ever have that nagging, uncomfortable feeling when you do something that goes against what you truly believe? That's cognitive dissonance, and it's a powerful motivator. We are driven to fix that uncomfortable feeling. So that dissatisfaction can lead you down one of 4 paths. You can be active and constructive, using your voice to try and make things better, or you can be active and destructive and just exit. On the passive side, you could show loyalty and just hope things improve, or you could go the destructive route with neglect and just check out.
Okay, let's zoom out. We've looked at the individual in detail, but how do all these unique individuals actually come together to form an organization? Well, this is where we get into diversity.
Now, this is a distinction you have to nail for your exam. Surface-level diversity is the stuff you can see at a glance, things like age, race, or gender. But it's the deep-level diversity, those invisible differences in values, personality, and skills, that has a much bigger impact on how a team actually performs over the long run.
And please don't make this common mistake, confusing diversity with inclusion. Think of it this way. Diversity is having the mix, but inclusion is making the mix work together. You can have the most diverse team in the world, but if you don't have an inclusive culture where everyone feels valued, it's not going to succeed. It's just so important to remember that these surface-level characteristics are often where harmful stereotypes creep in. A truly effective manager has to be aware of how biases tied to age, gender, or race can unfairly mess with crucial things like performance reviews and promotion decisions.
So if you really want to lock in all this knowledge and test yourself, you can find the full summary and some super helpful practice tests over at gradeguru.nl. It's a great way to make sure you're ready.
All right, to wrap all this up, let's quickly hit the most critical connections you need to take away from this lesson.
So let's connect all the dots. An individual's performance starts with their ability, their capacity to even do the job. Their typical day-to-day behavior is shaped by their personality, but remember, that can be influenced by the situation. Their choices are guided by their deep-seated values, and getting a good fit with the organization is key. When their attitudes and actions don't line up, that creates dissonance, which leads to one of those 4 clear responses. And when you bring everyone together, all that diversity is just potential until you build a culture of inclusion. If you understand how these layers work together, you'll be in great shape. Good luck!